the Green Beret.
That open border policy is resulting in what I say second and third order effects. These are the effects of a bad policy that are creating havoc in this nation. It is creating a human osmotic pressure wave of people that are being used as pawns to overwhelm the system of America. Freedom and peace. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with being American.
Hello?
Well.
Hey, Doc.
Hey, sister. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? You're on the road again?
Well, we were last night, and then I got back here. I'm back at my headquarters, Central Texas, but long night, good night. It's real successful. I'll talk a little bit about today, but just this will be a short update. You know, I get feedback from people from the outside as well, and a lot of them like the fact that if we don't have something to say, we don't just pontificate and carry on and bellyache about stuff. We spend more of our time working and getting things done, so we can talk about the good things. So this will be an update. It'll probably go about half an hour. We'll do whatever comes. But yeah.
Yes, I'll be monitoring during this whole stream the platforms on Rumble, X, Clout Hub, Pilled. If you have any questions for Doc, please comment them, and
Please.
Doc will answer them.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so first thing I want to do is ask how you're doing. I know baby's getting close here. It's important to me. You're doing
Yep,
well.
just tired. I'm like a full term size, but he's still got to cook for a few more weeks. So
Yeah. And I imagine you'll be out for a little while. I'm sure we'll find somebody to come in and help you out.
yes, we have Cordelia who's going to be replacing me
yeah.
during my maternity leave. Yep.
Yeah, she's a great person. I like her. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that. We'll keep praying for you. We always do. Keep you uplifted, and we'll just kick this thing off with an update. Okay. So first of all, I did talk about last time a mission that we went to the border to link up with an orphanage slash school slash missionary group that was down there. A lot of follow up going on with that. I've got a specific town in Central Texas that has, I guess, without seeking an official sistership, if you will, and you see like sister cities that happen. But this town, this particular church meeting that I was at, have been voluntold. I voluntold them that they are now paired up with these entities down there to help support what we're doing specifically with that location. And so the last location was Dripping Springs that did that when we went to North Carolina, and that a lot of folks got together, not only sent things out, but helped us financially to get the mission complete. And it was above and beyond what we needed. We were able to roll some of that into some other missions, which is great. This is a time right now of doing. I hear this a lot around the country, and feel free to weigh in here, Melissa. I know you're there, but I see this a lot around the country where people don't see things happening, and there's a lot of complaining, and rightly so. It's not happening fast enough at the federal level. Things never will at the federal level. It's something I got a few more years on a lot of folks here, so I don't expect much, but when I do see it, I'm happy. This is a different season. This is a different era, and this is a kingdom era, I like to call it. So kingdom of heaven era. And so you're seeing a lot of people stepping up. And I'm going to talk specifically about a group that I met with yesterday on a short podcast. Of course, I was right in the middle of things yesterday and had to break away and get on with them because I'd promised it weeks ago. And I'll talk about that. But we're seeing this era where people are actually doing something, and those at the top are paying attention. Now, some of that attention isn't good attention because I've already heard from an insider source that expect to be audited this year by the IRS. I'm like, bring it. I don't have an income. I have disability. I don't even have a post-military 20 plus years, 39 years retirement yet because they still can't figure out what went wrong with my retirement when I was a whistleblower and was fired from my job. Imagine that. So go ahead, audit me. I'm going to just throw it out there because it's going to fail. But these are the kind of things that, there are still good guys in there warning people like us, but they don't like it when you start exposing the evil or the incompetence, really. I mean, much of it's incompetence. The Doge people, will follow them and you'll see the amount of incompetence. But a lot of that is driven by the evil of greed of men and the plundering of our legislators that I'm going to say a good 75% of people up on the Hill, they're only there to boost their own incomes with insider trading and lobbyists, buying off by different entities. So I'm speaking pretty straight today. I'm tired, so I'm just going to speak from the heart. That's what I'm seeing. But don't be disheartened because the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And that is why we're doing this. That's why I'm tired. But this is a war of weariness. And so more and more people are stepping up. And it has nothing, in that intro, when that plays, it was kind of spliced together and it says it's not about religion. It's not about religion. It's about your heart, right? Religion is just a man-made thing that puts things in order, and it's a system that either works or doesn't work. Spiritual beings that we are, we have a heart, and when you know how to marry that up with your belief in Christ and following those tenets of loving others more than you love yourself, or as you would want to be loved, loving your God with all your heart and all your soul, but watching that come to action for guys like me on the ground, it's like watching heaven come to earth because I can see it. I see the fruition now of the sacrifices that people make, whether they're a little bit or whether they're a lot. I'm watching it come to fruition. I'm watching in the eyes of these children that we're seeing, that we're going out there to rescue, and then also those that are in a bad place, or some would think a bad place, but their hearts are just pure and they're happy and they're excited when you bring them a gift like boxes of toilet paper in the last orphanage I was in. See little kids come running out to the truck to unload it and just be happy that they have a luxury. This is when you see it and you go, this is what heaven looks like. This is what, when you match these people up that have the hearts, willing to take the action, and then folks like us who got to do it, somebody's got to hand it to them. Somebody's got to go out and find the ones that have been taken, and somebody's got to go kick the door and get them out and bring them back to their families or bring them to a safe place. When it all comes together, it's amazing. So that's kind of the 40,000 foot view of this week in a nutshell. Next week will be another exciting one for us. We're going to be kicking out the door. We may have to record early, Melissa, and we talked about that for a couple of reasons, but for me too, because the end of next week we'll be back back doing operational again, so we may be out. So that'll be good if we can record early.
Yep, we can definitely do that.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to bring up a little clip here, and this is from Douglas McGregor, Our Country, Our Choice. Watch this. About a minute and 23 seconds, then I'll explain at the end of it what it's about. So we can go ahead and cue that up there, Melissa. That'd be great.
Hidden inside every headline is the truth, and the truth must be told.
I'm telling you with complete certainty that the United States federal government decided to weaponize illegal immigration to fundamentally transform America.
We will take no prisoners in our fight for the truth.
We were prosecuting everything we could put our hands on.
But how successful were you? Because you had the Biden administration operating against you, right?
What we're seeing and what we were being told, complete 180.
I'm watching Border Patrol load up literally tens of thousands over the months that I was there into the buses and into the interior of the United States.
The numbers are much, much worse than I ever expected.
Typical night, 900 to 1,000. We still have the remnants, the second and third order effects of what is an invasion on the border.
We will expose the deceptions, the lies, wherever we find them. McGregor is a quest for authenticity, a search for the truth and what's important to Americans.
All right. So that's a little video. That's just a trailer. It is currently out. It's if you go to Our Country, Our Choice and look at Douglas McGregor, episode 1, The Border Truth, that just came out on the 1st of May. And I'll tell you, the producers that came down there with us, cameramen, great guys. We started at the Alamo, gave a little history of that. And then in 3 days on the border, showed them everything, every nook and cranny. And he did a great job, both of the editor and producer and Doug McGregor himself, of encapsulating it and getting the information out. I haven't seen the whole video. It's out, but I don't ever watch stuff that I do just because I already know what I said. So I'm assuming that I did see the trailer. It looks like it was put together well. I'm assuming the whole thing is going to be done as well. So, and I've heard feedback it is. So take a look at that. I'm going to post it on my X Truth, and I think we could probably get it okay to bring it over to our site on Cloud Hub and post it there. I'll get that, see if we can arrange that, because it's worth watching, and it is we play a heavy piece in that. We were the ones that coordinated everything for him to get down there and meet all the people he needed to meet for that. And that's just part 1. More coming. So that's exciting. I want to shift gears a little bit and go to a recent hearing on the Hill with Matt Lohmeyer. Matt Lohmeyer, I don't know him personally. I know of him, Air Force guy, Space Force, that stood up against the vaccine mandates in the military, and stood up against a lot of wrongs that were happening with regard to what I call personally a moral bankruptcy of the institutional Department of Defense during the Biden administration. And he took a hit, but he's not taking a hit now. He's in there for Secretary of the Air Force, I believe. And so let's just, if we can go down and pull up that clip from Jordan Carr's X. I'm going to just kind of talk our way through this thing. You'll hear the Senator Duckworth. There you go. That's Jordan Carr. She's a great patriot, and a service member, and took a hit in her own right as well. But they've been in the fight since the very beginning and before the military Declaration of Military Accountability came out last year. So let's go ahead and just play a little clip of this, and I'll kick it off, or I'll end it. It's time.
Mr. Lohmeyer, you know as well as I do from your military service that upholding good order and discipline is a foundation for our professional fighting force. Lethality relies on a honed practice of service members following lawful orders. I myself, even though as a progressive serving in the military, did not agree with President Bush's decision to look for weapons of mass destruction in Iraq when we should have been destroying the Taliban in Afghanistan, still volunteered to go, and I'm proud of my service to this day. Sometimes service members have to serve against their own personal opinions. Circumventing commanders on the battlefield in real time could lead to life or death mistakes. As former Secretary of Defense Mattis wrote, officers must carry out a policy to the best of their ability, even when they might disagree with that policy. To that end, I have questions about your commitment to this core principle and the troubling signals that your confirmation would send to those in uniform. You claim to have only written your book and gone public after the Inspector General concluded that
All right. So I wanted you to hear some of the rhetoric with regard to the questioning that took place on the Hill. And we can go ahead and pull that down. Listen to the way that they flipped the script. And this is typical. This is typical Washington, D.C. bureaucracy bullcrap. She's a veteran, and I respect her service. And she was wounded in action, and I respect that. What I don't respect is taking the very principles of leadership and then shaping them in such a way that it flips the script to point a finger at someone who stood up against an illegal mandate. The Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, Mr. Hegseth, just came out within the last few weeks and said that the mandates for the vaccine on the military were an illegal order. That was an illegal order. By the very nature of that statement, by the Secretary of Defense, she's not the Secretary of Defense. She's a legislator. And she's a very poor one in my book. That's Pete Chambers' personal opinion. When he states that, that's a huge piece of information that people will overlook, and she's overlooking it here. What she's saying is on the battlefield. Well, we're not talking about on the battlefield. We are talking about the battlefield of the bioweapon of the COVID vaccine, which it was. That's coming out. It's already out in most, understanding, most people with an understanding of this thing. But she's okay. If I countermand an order, or if I don't follow an order on the battlefield, there can be some deleterious side effects to that. Second and third order effects. There was a battle in Vietnam, and it was actually called a massacre, and it was called My Lai. And that was an example of where there was an illegal order was given by a commander, and hundreds of innocent civilians were massacred by United States forces in Vietnam. Sometimes you got to stand up against an illegal order, period. So most of the people that I worked with in the Declaration of Military Accountability stood up against an illegal order. Now, she goes on to say in this interview, if you listen to her, well, you could have, instead of writing a book about this and standing up and he really got, he's doing pretty good right now, but they really came after him hard. Lost his career over it. But he gained respect. She is going to go on to say in this, and is having a hard time keeping up with the time, the real time here, pushing that video through, is, hey, you could have went and got a whistleblower status and protected you. Well, I was a whistleblower. Could have protected me. Could have. Teresa Long, Dr. Teresa Long, Lieutenant Colonel Long, still serving. Could have protected her. I'm going to tell you some stories about each of these. Sam Sigaloff, Major, up in Fort Huachuca. He had a whistleblower status. Could have protected him. It didn't. Mark Bashaw, whistleblower. It should have protected him. He was court-martialed. With 17 years in the military, court-martialed, lost all his pain allowances, all the things that in 3 years he would have received a honorable discharge and retirement pay. So that whistleblower status thing, to me, empirically, is not worth the paper it's written on. However, it's the best thing you got when you're a whistleblower. All right. So for me, I've been out now since October of 2022. I still have not received my first retirement paycheck. It's still up at Department of the Army trying to figure out what to do with this thing because of some mistakes that happened when I was fired off the border and when I put my paperwork in to retire. I haven't complained about it, haven't said anything about it. I finally had to use a little bit of, hey, I'm going to probably go complain to the Secretary of Defense if this thing doesn't move forward, because we do have a way to get to him now and talk to him. Not personally, but as a group that does this. So that protects us, because there are no advocates, as she's saying, well, there are other ways to do this. No, there aren't, because the institution was broken and is on the way to being resuscitated. But All of those things, Sam Sigaloff lost his medical license over it. Mark Bashaw, I told you about that. Trace Alam ordered not to testify in a federal court case that she was subpoenaed to be in the Seals versus Lloyd Austin case. Ordered by her command. Nothing happened to her command. That's tampering with a federal witness. I was there while she was on the phone talking to her commander, who told her, "You will not testify to the Defense Medical Epidemiology Database. You will not testify to X, Y, and Z, whatever else." All this list of things, which was 90% of the evidence that she had to present. So we were able to get it into the court case because they didn't tell me I couldn't testify to it. And I got it entered as evidence. And Matt Staver, Liberty Counsel, key lead on that case, did a wonderful job. We got the stuff into the court case. We proved that the shots were not safe, not effective, and we could take care of our soldiers by lesser intrusive means. What did that mean? Not much. They drug their feet. Did give a stay to those soldiers, sailors, and Marines that did not want to, because of religious exemption, be forced to take a vaccine. And so there was a win in that. It's just, like all the other federal court cases, they were dragged out, and they became a war of attrition, if you will, or a siege mentality type battle. So there you go. So Matt Lohmeyer, check it out. Get on X. Look at Jordan Carr. She's following it pretty well. That's who I look at when I want to get updated on stuff. She's very factual. She does a great job of encapsulating things and getting it out. She did a wonderful write-up on that. So Jordan Carr, Karr, look her up, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the updates. We can't forget about this stuff because our nation still requires a fighting force to protect our borders. Now, I may only agree with Senator Duckworth on one item of her total statement that I listened to, which was I did not agree that we needed to be in Iraq looking for weapons of mass destruction. I was there as well and was wounded there as well. And I get it. And I stayed in for another, after that particular date, 2004 for me, till 2022, serving in various places in combat zones downrange. But it's not for a soldier to decide the geopolitical reasons why our legislators throw us into, the quagmire of war. That's a whole nother subject and a whole nother day to talk about. But anyway, great dialogue there, and good job, Mr. Lohmeyer, Colonel Lohmeyer. I look forward to seeing you in that position, and God bless you for what you did, continue to do for this nation. So because of people like this that have decided to stand up, whistleblower or not, just in their own particular areas of operation, their own little battles with this thing, just like you, Melissa, in your fight. I mean, you're a whistleblower, and it's because of people like you that emboldens people like me to go ahead and stay in the fight, keep going. So the way the fight looks like for me now is I do counter human trafficking. We are a association of ministries, and we are also a humanitarian relief effort. Should we need it? This last go around here, we were down working, linking up with some folks on the border with regard to the U.S. side and the Mexican side in the missionary business and children that have been put in harm's way because of human trafficking specifically. And along those lines, I don't know if you can pull it up. Maybe a tough ask here because it's off the cuff here. I didn't prep you on this one, but I'm just going to talk about it. If you find it in the background, that's great. Bobby Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr. He came out 2 days ago, I believe, and said that HHS will no longer be the cornerstone entity or agency that is directly involved with human trafficking in this country. Huge revelation. He comes out and says that, And all of us in the business are going, yes, finally. Because that is exactly the piece that we are working on now when we're dealing with Child Protective Services, HHS, and the losing, lost off the map, uh, admittedly 300 plus thousand children that were unaccompanied minors that came across the border are missing. How do you lose children? Well, I can explain it real quick. When Tara wrote us, uh, American hero, a hero to a lot of these children, as we do find them from time to time, comes out with a list and says, here's the list of kids that are missing. Now, that list specifically, I want to say had about 86,000 children at the time. There were more, we found out. And so there you go. Is that, yeah, if we can play that, that'd be great. Because when I saw that, I was laying in bed catching up. I was hooting and hollering. It made
We have
there we go.
ended we have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, the 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration.
Okay, admission.
But come on, I mean, like we already knew all this, Doc. So like, I'm glad he's looking for the kids, but who's getting arrested? That's what I want to know. Who's going to pay the price for those choices?
What was the very first statement I made in this? Most people are where you're at. They're wanting some action, right? And so that's exactly what had to happen for the lead person in an agency to say that. Just like when Hexteth came out and said the shot mandates were illegal. Okay, so for there to be action, you have to have somebody in charge actually say it. That to me was what put us into motion, right? We've already been looking for them. We've already found hundreds of kids like that and led them to the officials and have rescued them. Okay, not all of them, but the ones that we knew about. So that right there is the most important point, because now you've got the lead person in that agency, and heads are going to topple, right? And that is going to lead to the answer to your question, Ben, is when will there be arrests? Okay, now that's not his job to arrest him. It's Department of Justice. So great segue.
Well, just on that real quick with the comments. It's crazy to me how the left, it's like it just depends who's saying it, because people on the left and Democrats in the comments, I need to quit reading the comments on these things, but they say they say things like, oh, this is just a radical right conspiracy theory. And they were like, yeah, right, just 300 kids loose and missing in America. And like all that stuff. Like, you guys cared so much about kids in cages and kids getting separated from families. Now we know it's just all BS.
Yeah, it is. It's the same thing that Duckworth did when she was talking to Lohmeyer. You're going to play, and these are the things that get people emotional, right? When you get frustrated about it, that's emotion. And when you get emotional about things, we tend to stay out of the emotional world on our business, because we understand that when you get emotional about something, you're being drawn into a dialectic. Remember that word. A dialectic gets you fired up and gets us arguing about the things that don't matter. It doesn't matter. They don't care. I don't care whether they care about children or not. Yeah, it bothers me, but I'm not going to get emotional about it, because that's just telling me where they're at. Okay, you got to step up just one step above their game, and their game is dialectics. It's getting you in this. It's called a Hegelian dialectic. It's making you argue up here while all this is still happening. So we let them argue all day long. Go ahead, point fingers. What we're going to see is that if we keep cooler heads prevail, if we keep on our target, we will be able to produce the arrests, because we don't have to have the Department of Justice. We still have local law enforcement. For us in Texas, I don't ever speak to the FBI about anything, because they don't do anything. Okay, now maybe the new FBI will, but I haven't seen it yet. So rather than just going, well, for me, I'm just going to sit here and not go after this. No, we go to our local law enforcement, and that's how we've made that happen. And people did get held accountable at the local level. It doesn't make the news. It just doesn't, because the Department of Justice didn't do it. I think it's because the mainstream media controls what gets put out. Doesn't matter to me. Children are what matter to me. And if there's a smile on a kid's face when I'm watching them get handed to somebody that's going to really take care of them, that's the win. That's why I exist, so that I can talk about that stuff. Because otherwise, I would be just as frustrated. But because I see it on the dirt, I do that. So your best statement there was maybe you shouldn't read what they're saying. You know, I mean, because it's
It just ruins my day half the time because people are so low brown, Neanderthal, don't even know what's going on.
there
And
you go.
they'll argue with you all day on stupid crap that you know is not true. Or
Bingo. Bingo. So you figured it out. I mean, that's it right there. That's that dialectic. And don't let it, because we know. Okay, so what's going to happen from this? And this is a great discussion because Todd Callender, great man. We had this discussion. I was just out there visiting with him a few weeks ago, and we're getting this information directly now through his office directly to HHS. All right, now that their leadership has changed. Um, so does that mean I completely trust them? I don't trust anything in the government. But now I've got something to point back to and say, but you said this. Okay, so if you said this, we've got this information on how Child Protective Services, even though it's a state level thing, is not finding these children that they lost. Um, we can put our money where our mouth is and say, okay, we're going after it. And that's the key. That's the key to this thing. So I believe through different ways and means, different means, we're going to do this because the system itself is still broken. Right? The system is still broken. Why do I know that at the federal level? Because the Department of Justice has done nothing, at least that we've seen, to close the loop on that. Okay, we've seen Pam Bondi. Everybody likes to point a finger at her. The system itself is broken, and so she's leading it. You're not seeing this kind of leadership from her. If she could step up and start actually going after some of those people on that Epstein list, let's say, or the P. Diddy thing, they keep saying we're going to do that, but they're just dragging their feet. This could be done. This could be done quickly. And so that's where we're going to stay on it, because as long as we can keep exposing those things, and we will, on this media right here, and if I get something big, yesterday, I was on another talk with a bunch of people, and Lara Logan was supposed to come on there. She didn't, but she lives down the road from us when we're back at headquarters. Look, we'll go to her and say, get this out. And she will. If it has to do with kids, she'll get it out. And so we're going to start pointing people out and saying, they're not doing their job, and here's why, and here's the evidence. So now we're doing basically a federal case with all the workup and all the receipts to get the public opinion on our side. We just got to get the mainstream media, either they need to dismantle that and just our media just becomes us at this level, or they need to start going after some of those people too, as well as to the propaganda that they've been lifting up, which started well before the Biden administration, during the Obama administration, really, when they signed into law that propaganda was legal. It's not lawful, but in their words, legal. Legal and lawful are two different words. And so they call it legal, and we just say, well, it's not legal, and it's not lawful. And so I believe we're gonna see a shift, and that's why I said in the very beginning, there's a new age, a new era, which requires a lot of work, right? It requires my team, other teams that are out there. I deal with now 6 different teams like us around the country. Some are bigger than us, and they don't have their own platforms, and so I don't speak for them, but I will speak as a person that respects what they do, and say that they're working really hard to bring this all to light and to bring really freedom to light for those innocent humans. Because if it was the media, I'm sorry, if it was those people that you're looking at, if they had kids and their kid was missing, they would have a different attitude about this. But it's sickening because it's not what's in the book. You know, in our book says if you read the red letters, to love others as you want to be loved yourself, and that would be include children. So that's kind of our my take on it. But as a short day today, I know about 30 minutes, and that's about all I got for today. But those are the main three things I wanted to get out because that's showing us some light, right? Showing us some light, and we'll keep rocking it and keep getting after. Do you have any questions that are specific other than comments?
Let me double check real quick. So far, the
Okay.
only kind of question, I guess, is where can they pray for you on
Oh,
the 18th?
yes. So do me a favor if you're praying for us. We have a new piece on our website where you can actually become prayer partners with us. And I'd like you to get on there. Just search it on our website. See if I can find it. Um, but but specifically where you can pray is that those people at the top specifically. Let's just do this. Um, HHS is run by, thank goodness, Robert Kennedy now. Um, yeah, our partners there. So yeah, those are all our shows. I'll see if they haven't put it on there yet. They were supposed to get it up there this last week, and has to do with prayer partners. But go to where you can see contact us. There's a contact page right there, and then when you contact us, yeah, that's contact. There's a place where you can get a hold of us. Yeah, the Remnant Ministry info. That's it. The info
Yeah,
page.
info at the Remnant Ministry, tx.org.
Yes. Go there and we will interact with you. It's going to go directly to our ministry team, and that's where the prayer stuff is taking place as far as the prayer warriors. And then you can interact with them, and then you can become part of it. There's going to be a specific page there, and I'll talk to Matt. It should have been up by now, but we've been kind of busy, so it's okay. We can only do it every so often with regard to our the people that run our website. But yeah, get on there. Send us a message. Send us a note on the info page, and we'll get back to you. I promise, because we need that. But specifically right now, from me, it's the heart of. Oh, here you go. Text your prayers, right there. Bingo. That's it. It is up. Email and text your prayers. Thank you for finding that. Yes. And then specifically, I just need Bobby Kennedy to listen to us. I need to get in there and talk to him. I'm not going to take any pictures with you if you're watching this, or if you do watch this. I'm not there for the combat tourism. I just want to make sure that we start talking this stuff, because this is important. There's a conflict resolution style that we use that is working in areas that are laden with cartel activity in Mexico, and we're able to work our way right through all that stuff. And so truly Holy Spirit driven for those prayer warriors out there. They'll get that. Trying to explain that stuff to somebody asked me the other day, well, how do you do this with this conflict resolution, this Bible style conflict resolution? What is that? And I said, well, it's kind of like asking me how to build a watch, right? When you don't know how to tell time. I can't explain it in just one sentence, but it is it's just prayer, listening, and knowing. When you pray, and corporate prayer is important, and you listen, you will then know, and I will know who to go to, and I'll be sent to the right spot. And so in this last mission, I went straight to the mayor of one of the particular towns, border towns. He was a believer, is a believer, and gave us the keys to the city, which then gave us authorities to do what we're doing in that particular town, which we're having amazing headway. And then a town on this side of the border, on the U.S. side, that's not too far offset a little bit. Um, that particular area, that particular sheriff, um, we're just great support. And so that kind of stuff softens hearts, sets the conditions for, we call that a military term, setting the conditions for, prepping the battlefield, sometimes you say, but setting the conditions for the ushering in of the kingdom of God mentality, kingdom of heaven mentality. And when you get that on both sides, the people that we're working with and us, a lot of things happen. And so prayer stuff, so important. Thank you for that question. I really appreciate that. So hope that answers that, Melissa.
Yes, they said thank you, and then they put the information in the
Thank you, folks.
messages over there.
See how team works. I'm a little tired and unorganized today, but there's those days, right?
Yep. Yes, I can relate greatly to that.
Yeah, I'm not an optics person. I try not to do optics. I just do reality. So
I kind of had
reality is
I
what's
kind of had a
happening.
question for you, Doc. This was brought to my attention yesterday. And you know how sometimes things like seem like they're good, but then if it gets into the wrong hands, it could be bad kind of thing? This was an executive order on April 28th, strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. I think it sounds fine, and especially at face value, it sounds okay. But basically, it's like giving immunity to law enforcement officers, and that if there's any lawsuits, the taxpayer pays for it, kind of thing. Which I don't know if that's how it works already or not. But
Yeah,
it also says that the attorney general and president are the only ones to interpret the law. So I thought was interesting. Have you heard of this yet, or have you?
no, I haven't heard of this executive order. Yeah, there's always there's always the fine print, right, and everything. And I'd have to look at this. If you don't mind sending me that on the backside, I'll look at it and we can
Okay.
discuss it. But yeah, I would say indemnity is the key word here, and is who's responsible for that. Taxpayers are paying for everything that with regard to the government. It doesn't matter which side of it, whether you're prosecuting or defending. We pay for it. When we did the Seals versus Lloyd Austin case, for example, suing the federal government, the taxpayers paid to defend the illegal mandates, unfortunately. And then they finally got a ruling to pay Matt Staver's Liberty Counsel for that lawsuit. So, but then again, the taxpayers have to pay that. So it's kind of it's double-edged sword. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
really
because
like
like
it.
if you think about it, yeah, we want to protect like the officers like Derek Chauvin who got screwed with the George Floyd stuff.
Right.
But then there's also the cops who arrested people for being in parks during COVID and going to church services during COVID. And so it's like, who determines who's the criminals? That's where it
Right.
gets risky.
Yeah, this country definitely has its share of that. We're just praise God that we don't live in some of these countries like Great Britain or Australia. Great people, great countries, great histories, but they have taken it to a new level when it comes to, uh, doing tyrannical actions against their citizens for a meme or something like that. Here's a good one. The state of Texas, it just passed in the House. Guy named Phelan proposed a bill, and he's a total nut job. He looks like Jimmy Neutron. I don't know if you remember that cartoon.
That's so funny that you know that, Doc. Yes, of course I know Jimmy Neutron.
Right. So my kid, I followed what my kid was watching, and so this guy Phelan, Phelan, he's a rhino. First of all, he claims to be a Republican. He was the Speaker of the House for the Texas House. He just put out a bill, and it passed, like it overwhelmingly passed, that memes about politics are illegal. So of course, then everybody started, even me. I put out a meme about him saying, here's Phelan, and it was Jimmy Neutron. So it's like, I mean, okay, that was a bit mean, not very Christian-like. Sorry, I was struck at a moment of passion, because I thought how ridiculous this is, that this bill would imprison people for a year if you say something against politicians, right? There he is, Jimmy Neutron.
I can see it. There's, you know what else is alarming about Texas is the Islam rate that they're wanting to form their own community out there.
Sharia
Oh,
law is, yes, according to the Texas, if you want to talk laws, Sharia law is illegal in Texas, period. Yet there are all kinds of cities that are popping up, communities out in because they buy a bunch of land out. Texas got a lot of land, and they're creating their own enclaves of Muslim communities. There's nothing wrong with Muslim people. I mean, their religion, but when they want to execute their own type of law within their own community and just snub their nose at the law that exists that says you can't have Sharia law in Texas.
yeah, it's
Sorry,
called
bro.
Epic City is
Yeah,
what it
Epic
looks like.
City. Yep.
Yeah.
Up near the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There's others. Florida, I've done some research on that. Florida's got some cities that are like that where they claim that they're going to have their own, just like if you think about an incorporated city, they run their own law enforcement, right? So they're going to enforce their own Sharia law. That's not constitutional. Period. That's what Texas found, that it was not constitutional.
They continue to argue, well, the Amish have communities, the Mennonites, the this, the that, the Christians. Oh,
okay. See, there you go. That's an example of a Hegelian dialectic. They're arguing the fact that these people have their communities, but they're not arguing the main thing, which is the law, right? The law. They're going to enforce Sharia law in those communities, and that's the key. We can't, I can't say that some can't have a town full of people that are, Amish. I've been in those towns up in the Ohio River Valley. Great folks too, but some of my best friends in the world are Muslim guys that I worked with downrange. I mean, they're like brothers to me, but you don't see them building cities that are executing the laws of Afghanistan in the United States. It's just not. It's not constitutional. There is a set of laws that we have that work, and they don't work when we allow that kind of stuff to happen. So
Sharia
we're
law
watching.
is a violent law. I mean, just like we wouldn't do the Noahide laws where you can kill your child for not listening to you,
I mean, if it's going to get bad enough, I mean, somebody that's, I should have had my hand cut off when I was 6 years old and took a gumball out of the pharmacy, and my mom made me go in and pay for it because she said, "Where'd you get that?" And I didn't have any money in my pocket. I said, "I just took it." What? Well, that kind of law of the Middle East in many places, not every place, but they cut your hand off for stealing. I guess I should be,
Yeah,
outright.
any Muslim sect that believes in Sharia law would agree with that. That's the thing. We actually had someone on Dr. Bill Lionberger. He does a show on Thursdays, and he had a former FBI, CIA guy. I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head, and I can't, but he was a Muslim expert, and he talks about like the Islam Brotherhood's infiltrated, and they're like trying to make Sharia law a thing throughout the U.S., and their ultimate goal is to bring the downfall of America and the U.S. Constitution and implement Sharia law.
Correct. And that's what they've done in London. That's what they've done in Paris. That's what they've done in many places. But they take it a step further, and they have a Muslim guy run for the mayor of London, and now he's then supporting those type of motions, and they're proud of it. They're like, hey, we're going to population you guys pretty quickly, and London and Ireland and all these places are not going to appear anymore like they were, which is an equal representation of all races. But nobody comes in and says, I'm going to abscond with the current laws of this country and then just change them over to this, which is not what the people that live there, who are the majority, want. So that's a concern, because we're seeing that as, I look at the what's happening in Western Europe as kind of like a forecast of what could happen here. And so I just don't want to see that here, because it's not going to fly as easy, number one. And number two, it's going to lend to we talk about a heated, heating up things against, pitting the races against each other. And that leads to It doesn't lead to anything good. I've seen countries go down because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of learning like Christians are too focused on trying to be nice rather than standing up for what's right or wrong. And I think we're gonna have to. My generation, at least, has never been. Well, I guess COVID could be the biggest thing of ethically, morally challenged. Being told or convinced to do something that goes against your conscience, like the lady was saying in the Jordan Cars video. Basically, she's like, sometimes we got to do things we don't want to do. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes no sense, though. Like what you said, there's a difference between like the weapons of mass destruction. You really don't know at that point. You're going off what your leader's telling you. But then, like, if they're telling you to arrest somebody for going to church, I feel like there's a big difference there, in my opinion, for judgment.
Yeah. That's what happened during the COVID lockdowns. We could keep our liquor stores open and the strip joints and all that, but you couldn't go to church. Or
Yeah.
I mean, many people stood up against it. It was not all pastors, but many of them, got cited and were arrested. Some were arrested, and but that's not this nation. And just like this thing with Secretary of Defense coming out saying those mandates were illegal, I believe, and that was just last week. And that's why people like Jordan Carr are out there staying on this hard, because we've got to get exactly what you said to the people that did, right? That were the perpetrators of those illegal orders, and saying, now you're going to be held responsible. Because in my book, those generals that did that, the one of which that came down and fired me on the border for doing informed consents, those people, they're the ones that are guilty of crimes.
Yeah, I'm getting tired. Like, I know you said at the beginning, that us average people down here aren't seeing anything happen. We see headlines, we hear big statements like from Kennedy, even, stuff against Fauci, like things that we know now that they basically had no idea what they were doing during COVID, saying trust the experts, but then simultaneously say, well, how could you expect anybody to know? It was new or whatever. It's just, I don't know. I'm
It's
tired.
frustrating. It's frustrating, but I believe that we got to stay on our heels. We can't give up. We got to hang on them like pit bulls and just keep moving it forward. And eventually, something's got to break. I mean, it's got to.
I feel like
What I'm seeing is,
they could literally prove it to our faces. Like the fact that people are saying Kennedy, they're saying brain worms and all these stupid things. And it's like, but you had no problem listening to Joe Biden, who everybody knew was senile the whole time and tried telling you. And it's just, oh man, I'm tired. Like I said, your show and Todd's show are the ones where I get like my news and my updates, and Todd's are a little bit more gloomy, but yours, I feel like, usually have some good news in there, which is nice. And it's nice to know that people are, saying stuff is happening we're not seeing, which I sure
yeah,
hope so.
yeah. It's good to see. It's good to be on this side of it, but there is we need more help across the board, and it's not just us. It's all the teams, my teams that I deal with. We all need more help, and I heard somebody say, Catherine Austin Fitts said it the other day in an interview with Tucker Carlson. She said, I don't worry, because she's been pretty good on this fight with us. She said, I don't worry about having the funding to do a lot of this stuff, because it's out there. The funding is out there. It's God's money, right? It's the people's money right now. And so when I need it, people step up. And so that's the way I look at it. It may not be in my account. It doesn't matter in our ministry's account. But every time I've gone to do something, it shows up. And that's God. That's God saying you're being faithful with a little bit, and now we're going to give you more. And when you need it, it has always come through. Always. There's not been one mission that we did, aside from going out to North Carolina with less than $5,000 in our account, but coming back with enough to do 10 times that much, because we got on some shows and people saw what we were doing, and so that helped. We've always had enough. So I'm positive about it because I've seen it. I physically have seen good people help, and it's I can't I can only say it to the mediums that I can get on. If they put me on Fox News, I tell the same thing, and then the world would go, wow. But they don't want. That's one of the things that the enemy does. The enemy being Satan overall. The World Economic Forum, the WHO, most of our legislators, they don't want us to know that we actually are capable of doing what we're doing. They don't want us to know that. And that keeps us in this constant state of negative energy. You know, emotion is energy in motion. And so when you fight from a stance of we're winning, whether or not it looks like you're winning or not, your energy that you're fighting with is so much stronger than any kind of energy that the negativity can bring. So that's just how I'm built. It's how all of us that I see in this fight are built. Is we're going to just keep going until we don't breathe anymore, and that's the human nature that I look for in people when they work with me. Is that because it's fear is contagious, so is courage, and so it's a fun place to be because I'm actually doing it and protecting my border now, which is kind of fun because I can do all this and I can wear ragtag uniforms and nobody yell at me. So, well, thanks, Melissa, for putting this all together today and getting this done. We'll tape early next week and we'll get that done, and that way we can be ready for next week's show.
Yep. Sorry, I couldn't get my thing unmuted in time, but yes. Yep. We'll get an episode ready to go for next Friday. Hopefully more good news to come,
Yeah, there will be.
All right.
Well, when I leave Bobby Kennedy's office with Todd Callender and give you a thumbs up, you'll know.
Okay, sounds good. I look forward to it. We went over the 30 minutes. You managed to fill this whole show time. You did good. But we'll make sure everybody needs to know, whenever Doc's live, you can ask questions. I mean, he talks about some pretty important topics, and I know that people like me need these answers to feel better about raising children in this world. So
yes, gee.
But thank you so much, Doc. Yeah, thank you so much, Doc. Please travel safe. Everybody's praying for you that watches this, I'm sure. So, but we'll see everybody next Friday.
Thank you, sister. God bless, Melissa.